Hey everyone, I'm going to take a look at the new Spanish League selection on eFootball. There are also selections for the English League and Italian League. I'll be doing separate videos for those ones. For this one, as always, I'll put timestamps in the description for each player, so if there's a particular player you want to hear about, click on the description and there'll be a link to take you straight to them. So, 11 players in the pack, all 5 stars. We'll start with the lowest rated as always, that is Sheraldo Becker. So it's the first featured version of Becker we've had. Does not have a face scan yet. We've got a goal poacher, centre forward. Got a few positions there you can play across the attack. We're going to jump over to eFootball Hub. We'll see how good we can make him. So, as you can see, we've got good news and bad news. The good news is obvious. It jumps right out. Crazy pace. He's a goal poacher as well. Pace is important on a goal poacher. That pace is absolutely deadly. The bad news, his awareness and finishing, not so great. So, can we reallocate points and make him a good striker? Before we do that, we'll quickly check his skills down there. Flip, flat, crossover turn, or chop turn, whatever it's called. Rising shots, but the important ones, first time shot and long range curler. 2 very good ones on a striker. And super sub as well. He's a super sub. We have an insanely quick super sub. Interesting. So, can we improve the awareness and the finishing? The problem is, where'd you get the points from? Because they put the most points on his awareness and finishing. The only other places they really put points, 4 on dribbling. I wouldn't want to go lower than that. He's not bad on the ball, but he's not great either. I wouldn't want to make him much worse if these are only 1 point each, the first 4 increments here. Aerial, could we take 4 off there? We could. It's a shame to go below the 80 mark on physical. That's a nice bonus on the centre forward, by the way. Physical 80 and bounce 85, especially the way the game is now. That will help him on the ball when you're getting pressured by defenders. But if we take those 4 away, just to see if we can get the awareness and finishing up, I don't feel comfortable going lower on lower body because his kicking power is already sub 80. I like kicking power into the 80s, but if we did do that, that's the only way we can really free up points. That gives us 12 points. We can get the finishing up to 88, and then 1 more on attacking awareness. That's about all we can do, to be honest. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, you could maybe nick a couple more dribbling. Don't really want to do that. Get the awareness. I mean, if you were desperate to get the awareness and finishing up, that's probably what you can do, but you're really scrimping a bit with his on-the-ball attributes there, and you lost a bit of physical contact. I'm not sure it's worth it. Going back to auto-allocation, it might be one where, especially as a super sub, putting this guy up top as a goal poacher, using that pace to get him behind the defence, latching onto through balls, just accept the fact his awareness and finishing aren't that great. Just his pace alone could cause a lot of problems. So, yeah, not perfect, but if you play into his strengths, especially as a sub with that pace, he could certainly give you some value, could cause some problems for you. Looking at his other positions, as an SS, if you wanted to try him as an SS, you don't need as much on his finishing and awareness. If we took both those right down to 80, the passing's the real important thing here. Needs a bit more ability on the ball as well. You could do something like that as an SS, so you can make him quite a lot more comfortable on the ball there. Beef the passing up quite a bit. We put 8 on passing, but it's still not great. I'm not sure I would use this guy as an SS. I think in those areas behind the attack, you need him to be capable of passing the ball. He's not got any passing skills, and those attributes, even with 8, I mean, that's 12 points you put on passing. That's a lot of points just to get up to 72 for low pass. Not for me. So as an SS, you know the physical and balance both over 80, still great pace. There's qualities there, but I don't need someone I think is perfectly suited to SS. So that would leave the wide positions. He's a right footer. So looking at him out wide, he clearly can't cross the ball. Even if you gave him pinpoint crossing, he couldn't cross the ball. But wide left as a kind of inverted winger, left-sided forward. Could he be decent there? Maybe. So passing not so important. What could we do if we play him there? Forget those 4 off. Aerial as well. Can we get him up to 90 ball control, 90 dribbling? All we can. Hello. Okay, that's interesting. So we might have found the best use for this guy. So still got great pace. Again, the kicking power is not what I'd want it to be, but it's not a disaster. That's still okay. Still got a bit of physical contact on him. He's still got balance over 80. On the ball now, 90 plus on the ball control and dribbling. Tight possession is not too bad. Attacking awareness and finishing both at 80. You are going to have to be very careful not to ask too much with the passing. Be very careful with that because he can't pass the ball. He's not got any passing skills. But with that finishing at 80, first time shot and long range curler coming off that left flank onto his right foot, with the pace being as good in the ball as he is now, long range curlers, he could be pretty effective. So centre forward, not so sure. It could certainly cause a lot of problems with the pace he's got, but on the whole, I don't think he's a great centre forward. SS, I don't think it suits him no matter how you train him, but playing this guy wide left with the attributes he's got, pace on the ball, decent long range curler, especially coming off the bench second half, it could be useful actually. So that for me, that kind of build playing on wide left is how you get the most value out of him in my opinion. And not an amazing card, but certainly I think it's a pretty decent one. I think it's one where it deserves a second look. So yeah, if you do get this guy when you spin this pack, if you do spin this pack, for me, that's how I'd use him. And he might actually be a more valuable card than you realise. Next up is Jesús Navas from Sevilla. He's still going. So we have a fullback. He can play as a winger as well. Let's jump over to eFootball Hub. How good is this guy? So this is the second feature version of Navas that we've had. The only real difference, because the previous version of Navas went to pretty much the same level as this one, same overall rating and stuff, and the attributes are pretty similar, but the one key difference is that this guy is an attacking fullback, or offensive wingback, as eFootball Hub seems to want to call him. So this is an attacking fullback. That playing style will be active there at right back, nowhere else. The previous feature version, statistically very similar, pretty much the same, but it was a cross specialist. So if you've got that previous version, cross specialist will be active in all 4 of these positions, wide left and wide right, but it won't be active at right back. So that's the only one difference, and it's a pretty key difference depending how you want to use this guy. For me, I've still got this guy's GP card. I've got an old 4-star GP card of this guy. It's a cross specialist. I like him on the wing. Very nice. Attacking wing back, not so great for me, but if you want to use him as at fullback, looking at the attributes, I don't think there's a lot you need to do really. I wouldn't want to take any away from low body here, because with the stamina at 90, sure, you could probably scrimp a couple, but where do you really need the points? The only area you really need to increase is physical contact, because down the left technically he's 80 plus in all of these. Down the middle for defensives, 80 plus in all of them. On the right, he's got good pace. Yeah, you can take a couple off his speed, but do you want to dip down to 88 stamina just to get his physical contact up to 66? I don't. I'll just leave it as it is. I think this is one of those cards where the auto allocation is pretty much as good as you're going to get it. You're just going to have to accept that he's physically weak, unfortunately. So all it really comes down to is keep in mind he's physically weak, and then you're going to need a skill or two. If you play this guy as a fullback, interception is a must, and then beyond that, you'd probably want to consider man marking, blocker, maybe Zachariah clearance. So a few defensive skills needed, especially interception. Going forward, though, as an attacking fullback, pinpoint crossing and one-touch pass, very nice ones to have. As a right footer on the right, very capable of putting crosses in. So yeah, as a very attacking fullback, a bit physically weak and needs a few skills, but could be a very tidy one. And to use him in any other position on the left, he could do that job. Skill wise, obviously one touch pass is nice, pinpoint crossing not so important on the left. You probably want to put long range curler on him, but his finishing's not great though. But on the right hand side, certainly he's got pinpoint crossing. If we take all these points back off defending and aerial, we try and just make this guy an out-and-out right winger. Bump up his passing first, and then his dribbling. I'm not sure I'd do much more than that, to be honest. Great pace. We've not really done anything athletically, but we've made him more tidier on the ball. And his passing, not just the low pass, but especially the lofted pass up to 88 now. In fact, you could... Is it worth trying to beef his lofted pass up to 90? Maybe. Yeah, let's do it. And that gives us 1 point left. Perfect. 1 point. Let's stick that right and curl. Boom. 90 lofted pass, 80 curl, 90 kicking power. There we go. So he's rapid still. But with that 90 kicking power, the curl at 80, lofted at 90, got pinpoint crossing. Still pretty tidy on the ball. As a right winger, an old school right winger, getting up and down the flank, putting crosses in. You could have a very nice right wing on your hands, actually. So, yeah, that's a pretty nice card as a winger, to be honest. So, I don't think you really need many skills if you use him as a right winger. Sadly, he's not a cross specialist, so he won't have an active playing style there, but it's not the end of the world. And if you use him as a fullback, like I say, you need to put 1 or 2 defensive skills on him, and he's not the strongest physically, but whether you use him as a winger or as a fullback, it's a reasonably tidy card, this, and it's one of these cards where the age that he's at, I'm not sure how many more good versions of Navas we're going to get. So if you're a fan of his, this might be a pretty good one to get. Highly old veteran, we have got Raúl Albiol. So he's still going, this guy. Centre back. Let's have a look on eFootball. We'll see how good this one is. And he's pretty solid. Pretty obvious where the strengths and weaknesses are though. Defensively, fantastic. Pace, pretty dodgy. That's about it. We've had one previous feature version of Albiol. Again, it was a very similar level. Yeah, the overall rating was the same. The one key difference, though, again, just like with Navas, was the playing styles. So the previous one was a build-up. this version of Albiol, we've got a destroyer. So it comes down to preference. You might like that, you might not be so happy, I don't know. But either way, we've got a destroyer, Raúl Albiol. Defensively very strong, physically reasonably strong, not brilliant in the air, but he's about 6'3". He does have aerial superiority. We've got interception, man marking, blocker, sliding tackle. I think all we're really lacking is acrobatic clearance and heading for the defensive skills. You can live without heading. I don't think that's too important. Acrobatic clearance is a nice one to have, to be fair. It would be nice to have that on him, but he's got a good selection. If you don't mind the lack of pace, I always say it, you don't have to have pace in the centre back. Depends on how you play, depends on your preference. That might be fine for you. You might just leave him the way he is, but if I'm going to tweak the way he's built here, you could spare a few from defending me. To be honest, if you don't need the aggression on him, you could go all the way down there, stay at 90 for awareness, engagement, tackling. One more on physical, get his physical contact up to 90. Can we get his lower body up to 7? His speed up to 70? Yes, we can. Kicking power goes over 80. His stamina's decent enough for a centre back. He's not got great acceleration, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to sneak 1 on dribbling, get his ball control up to 70, and those 4 there, you know where they're going. Our old friend goalkeeper 1, get the jumping from 86 to 90. 91 in fact. Nice. So we only need 3 to get to 90, do we? We'll stick another 1 on dribbling, get his tight possession up to 60. Wow. Yeah, that's a pretty... I would go with that build. He's not as much of a beast defensively there, but as long as you don't mind the aggression going below 90, still 90 on the other 3 there. 90 jumping, 90 physical, got the speed up to 70, kicking powers over 80, ball control up to 70, low and lofty pass already and over 70 there. This is a pretty solid centre-back. It's not an amazing one, with the speed only at 70, and that's after I put some extra points onto speed. Acceleration's pretty low as well. Obviously, this guy's in his late 30s now. You can't really expect a great deal of pace on him, but for what he is, he's a solid centre-back. I couldn't say he's a top-level centre-back by any means, primarily because of the pace and mobility issue, but outside of that, he is pretty solid. He does have a good selection of skills, and if you're a fan of Raúl Albiol, it's a pretty good version of him. So, yeah, even if you're not a fan of him, it's a decent centre-back to have. It's not a bad one, just comes down to the pace and mobility, really, but this guy is not bad at all for a 39-year-old centre-back. Pretty solid card. Now we have an interesting one. So, we've got Reinildo from Atletico Madrid. He is a defensive fullback. He can play centre-back. That's where it could get interesting. So, an unwavering form. Another with unwavering form. Nice. So, let's jump over to the hub. We're going to see how good he is. We'll start at left back, and with auto allocation, as you can see, pretty tidy. So we've got great pace, good physical contact. The balance isn't brilliant, but could be worse. Stamina's outstanding at 97. Defensive attributes are strong. Down the left there, he's not brilliant technically. Could be worse, but again, it comes down to how much you want to put on these attributes. There are a lot of people who, especially on a defensive fullback, which is what he is, a lot of people don't mind these attributes being down in the kind of low or mid 70s. If that's the case, good for you. For me personally, that just scares me. I need my defenders to be comfortable enough on the ball. I need the passing to be good enough, because you know what passing's like in this game. You don't want to give the ball away in front of your goalie, in front of that penalty area. So personally, I would want more in there. Could you free up some points? Yeah, you can nick a few off there. Still got plenty of stamina, still 90 speed. Better on the ball, better passing. Can you free up points from anywhere else? You could do. Depends on what your priority is. If I do this first, I'll just do that, I think. Still want back on defending. So if you wanted to round him out a bit better technically, you could do that. Still strong defensively, still got the pace and the athleticism. If you just wanted him to be an all-out defender, just a thug at fullback, go back down to 4 on each of these. Can you get that tackling up to 90? That's what I want to know. How many points do I need? 2. Let's just take 2 off dribbling. Boom. You could do that. So an out-and-out defensive build on this guy, with the speed and acceleration both 90, stamina 94, physical 80, 88 awareness, and then 90 plus on all the other 3 defensives. Yes, he sucks technically, but if you don't mind that, you just want him to defend and just get in the way of things. That could be a bit the kind of build you could do in this guy. Looking at the skills, he's pretty much always had these skills. I think man marking, interception, fighting spirit, blocker, sliding tackle. At fullback, you're sorted. I would definitely consider putting some technical skills on him. One touch pass, through passing, maybe. He's not got great passing, but he's got good defensive skills there. But yeah, as a defensive fullback, it's very nice. And before I forget to compare him to previous versions, it's basically the joint best version we've had of him. The only other previous version on this level was the nominating contract one, which I picked up. Very similar to this card. What I'll do is I'm going to build this guy as a centre back next, and I'll compare him to that card, and that will really show you the difference. And there isn't really much one, just a couple of attributes. But like I said, as a defensive fullback, all that defensive build, you could go with that, or the build I did just now, more of an all-round build. But as a centre back, if you forget the technicals, not so important now. Pace we'll leave for now as well. What I'll do, I'll leave his speed acceleration both to 80 for now. And then we're going to beef him up defensively and physically. So, crikey. So we can go 90 plus all down there. 90 on physical contact and jumping. Speed acceleration both 80. So I would like that kicking power to get to 70. That concerns me. I'm going to get that up to 70. And then it gets balanced up to 70. Boom. That's what I do, I think, as a centre back. So I mentioned the previous version. So the previous version was similar in general, but also in a sense that you could train it as a really, really cheeky centre back. Not the tallest, only 180 centimetres. You will desperately need to put aerial superiority on him. That's the one skill you really, really need to put on him if you use him as a centre back. But comparing this version to that previous nominating contract version, basically the tackling and physical contact are both a little bit better on this one. So if you got that previous version, you don't need this one. But if you do get this one, you do have a little bit more of the tackling and physical contact. And if you're making him a centre-back especially, I think that probably is quite important. But down the left there, a bunch of these are 70 plus. Down the middle, all 90 plus. Jumping and physical 90, heading 84. You might also want to give him the heading skill, to be fair. But I think aerial superiority is the one absolute must skill-wise if he's a centre-back for you. But the pace, he's going to be super strong physically, athletically, and defensively. If you give him aerial superiority as a centre-back, that's a real naughty card. I think it's a really, really good card. He could certainly be a very useful defensive fullback at left back, but there's also that option at centre back as well. So this card for me could be a very useful one to pick up. And now we have Oriol Romeu, who's back at Girona. Spent last year at Barcelona. So we have a destroyer, defensive midfielder. Let's jump over to the hub. How good is this Romeu? So compared to previous versions, there's been two better versions of Romeu. There's been one similar one. This is pretty much the same as the previous one, which was, I think, a free one. I think they gave out a few free Barcelona cards. I've got it. I think it was given out for free, about the same as this one. If you got that one, I don't think you need this one. But the other two that we've had that I think were in kind of legend packs, they do go one or two higher than this one. They are better. But this one, for what it is, for a destroyer who's going to sit in front of your defence and just get a foot in and make tackles and you know, kill opposition attacks, he's actually reasonably effective. Looking down at the skills, not many. Weighted pass, man marking, interception, fighting spirit. He's kind of got some of the essentials, but you will need one-touch pass. You really need one-touch pass on this guy. Maybe through passing as well, and you might want to put more defensives on him, like blocker and aerial superiority. But he's got a few decent ones. And yeah, with the auto allocation, I don't think I would change much, because on the ball, you can just about get by. Passing, you can just about get by. On the right here, he's not particularly quick, but you expect that with this guy. He's a physical guy. He's a thug. The balance isn't great, but the physical contact is, of course, strong. Kicking power is great. Stamina's just about okay. But down the middle is where it counts with this guy defensively. 90 plus in all of them. And with the engagement, especially the aggression, he's uber aggressive. This guy's going to be defensively very strong in front of your defense. Just looking at that jump. Could we get that jump higher? Where could we nick a point? I'm just going to nick one off dexterity. It's not going to make much difference. We would need 2 on aerial. But it's okay, because we've got goalkeeper 1. Boop. There we go. Up to 80 for jumping. Lovely. Yeah, that's probably all I'll do on the point allocation, to be honest. He's not brilliant. He's not certainly not a top defensive midfielder, but certainly if you gave 1 or 2 skills, maybe he's one-touch pass, maybe he's on to more defensive ones with the defensive ability he's got, just to sit in front of your defense and defend. Not brilliant, but I think he could be pretty effective. The one I've got, which is similar, I've used it in the Spanish League Challenge. He's done a job for me. He's obviously got the limitations he's got, where he's not the most nimble. He's not got brilliant passing, not great on the ball, but just to defend, could be effective. So yeah, it's not a great card, but it's not a bad one either. Now we have Oihan Sancet from Bilbao. I've got a player of the week version of this guy and I like it a lot. So is this guy as good? Let's have a look. Let's jump onto eFootball Hub. We've got a whole player. He's a whole player who can play SS, attacking mid, centre mid. He cannot defend and he doesn't have defensive skills, so I'm not going to look at this guy as a centre mid. I'm going to look at him as an attacking mid. And to be honest, SS would be a pretty similar build really. So I'm just going to build him as a kind of offensive attacking mid type of player. First things first, we've had 2 previous trainable versions of Sancet, and they were both in legend boxes, I think. Both slightly better than this one, not massively but slightly. And the other one that we've had was the player of the week card that I mentioned that I've already got, which I like. It's also a whole player, attacking mid or SS. The difference between this card and that one, certainly on auto allocation, but pretty much however you build this one really, is that player of the week one was not as good technically as this one, but it was better athletically. A bunch of attributes down the right hand side in the 80s on that player of the week one, but down the left on the ball and with the passing, not as good as this one. So a bit of a trade-off, but kind of similar on the whole. But of course we can train this one, not only with the attributes, but you can put skills on, so that's a big advantage. And we got through passing, which I don't think the player of the week one does. So we got double touch and Marseille turn, then we got long range shooting and first time shot. So shooting is covered there, and he's got 83 finishing, which is nice. And then with the passing, one touch pass and through passing, and he's got 88 low pass. So we've got nice shooting and passing. And we got outside curler, which is nice because he's not particularly two-footed. So we can shoot, we can pass, we're good on the ball. We've got very good attacking awareness for a number 10 type of player. It's just down the right-hand side. He's not terribly slow, but he's not the quickest. Kicking power's not brilliant either. Physical contact, he's got a bit there. Balance, not brilliant. He's 6'2". That's one thing to keep in mind with this guy. 6'2". So how comfortable is he going to feel on the ball? He's certainly not the most nimble or fluid. Even the one I've got, which has physical contact and balance both over 80, he's not that comfortable on the ball. I can certainly get by with him. I think he's fine. But if you like a player to be really comfortable on the ball, I'm not sure this is going to be your guy. Can we really improve the way he's been built here? Can we allocate some points a bit differently? We take a couple of dribbling, certainly. Depends what you want to do. If you don't mind these physical attributes being what they are, you could just go straight to passing, give him 90 low pass. That's one thing you could do. If you're not too bothered about that, a lot of people don't think you need more than sort of late 8s on low pass. Personal preference, I guess. You could even nick a few more off dribbling. If you're going to accept he's not going to be much of a dribbler, take it down just so that ball control stays at 90 and the dribbling and tight possession at 86, which is still decent. Now we've got 12 points to put in his athletic stats, so going to nudge his kicking power up to 80. Can't do much with his balance, unfortunately. That's a shame. Could only put like 3 on there, and even then it's still 77, 90, although that does get his attack when it's up to 90. Interesting. Certainly if you play MSS, you might want to do that. Or if you didn't want to do that, go back down to 8 on dexterity. We could, well, there's nothing on his area, I didn't realise that. So we can get his area up to 8, yeah, up to 80. You could do that. Interesting. That's one thing you could do. There's a few ways you could tweak these points and shuffle them around. Interesting. I think I would be tempted to do something like that, to be honest, personally. It's a shame you can't get much more on the balance really with up to 8 on dexterity already, because beyond that it's going to take 3 points per increase, and there aren't that many points really lying around there. I mean, you could nick 3 off shooting and it'll still be at 80. Just stick 1 on his dexterity. Could do that. There's a few things you could do with this guy, but ultimately you've got a guy he's tall. He's not going to feel too nimble or too maneuverable on the ball, but he's got a bit of physical strength depending how you train him. And on the ball, and with his passing, and with his finishing, he's got end product. You get this guy on the ball in those attacking areas, he can shoot, he can pass. Good attacking awareness as well. It's over 80 pretty much however you build him, even at level 1. 78 at level 1. But you're going to get into the 80s wherever you train him. So, yeah. I like the one I've got just to get into the right areas of the pitch in and around the area and getting shots away. He's been pretty effective for me. And this one might be a little bit different. Might not be quite as good athletically, but he's better technically. If you don't mind tall players who aren't that brilliant with their dribbling and stuff, then he could be a very effective card for you. He's a little bit different to most number 10s. I like the one I've got, and if I did spin this pack, I'd be pretty happy if I got this guy. I think he's a pretty tidy card for a lot of people. Next we have Endrick from Real Madrid. So we had him in Player of the Week recently. we now have a trainable version. This is with his regular playing style, which is deep lying forward, and that is not everyone's cup of tea, but let's look on eFootball Hub. So deep lying forward Endrick. The player of the week card was, I think, a goal poacher or a fox in the box. So I think for a lot of people that's an upgrade, but we're back to his regular one, deep line forward, like I say. But it's trainable, this one. So is he any good? I mean, we look at the attributes here. Awareness and finishing would be nice if they got to the 90 mark. This is a 5-star card, but they're not far off it. Both high 80s. On the ball is okay. Passing's not brilliant. Speed is kind of okay, but not amazing. But he's a deep line forward, though. Acceleration's fantastic. Balance 92 as well. So he's got a bit of, bit of explosiveness about him. He's got a bit of physical contact as well, actually, especially for a little guy. He's not too tall, 173. Stamina 82. Could be worse. So we've got some qualities on this guy, but see, the first question, looking at the stats, is he good? He's quite good. Not amazing, but he's quite good. But the second question is important, and that is, do the attributes that he has, the balancing of his attributes, the strengths and the weaknesses, do they suit his playing style? No. Deep line forward, he's going to be dropping into the build-up behind the attack. He's going to get on the ball, and he can't pass. And as much as he's not particularly bad on the ball, he's not particularly great either. So where would you take points away from elsewhere? You don't want to take the attacking awareness down, because 88 might be good, but it's not amazing. You wouldn't want to dip below that, really. Finishing likewise. Where are you getting the points from? There's nowhere. There's only 4 on dribbling, only 4 on lower body, 4 on aerial. You could take the 4 off aerial, and he's still got a bit of physical strength by him. And then you get this passing all the way up to 69. It still sucks. So, yeah, I don't know with this guy. I think for Real Madrid fans, people who are a fan of Endrick, it'll be nice to have a trainable version of him. The best version of him that we've had, 5-star. But honestly, I just don't think with that playing style that you can really make him that effective. I think if you like the deep line forward playing style, and if you don't mind the lack of passing, by all means, you might have some joy with this guy. You might find he's a fun one to use. You might be very pleased with this guy. I'm not going to say he's not going to work for anyone, that he's not going to be a good card at all, but to really get the most out of a deep line forward, I don't think you can really quite make him good enough in the areas where he needs to be good. So is it a good card? Yes, kind of. But with the playing style, I think for a lot of people it might be quite a frustrating one. But by all means, if you're a Real Madrid fan or an Endrick fan, you'll be very pleased to get this card. And there's for sure, if you don't mind that playing style, you may well be able to get some real good value out of him and have a lot of fun with him. And on to our second forward from Real Madrid. I don't know why they're putting multiple players in from the same team in an 11-player pack. You'd think they could share the love out a bit to the other teams, but it is what it is, I guess. So Rodrygo, roaming flank as always. Let's go to eFootball Hub. There is one thing with this card that's interesting. As far as I can see and as far as I can remember, this is the first special version of Rodrygo that's trainable, that has centre forward by default. Yes, you can position train previous versions of him by all means, but depends how many position trains you got and whether you're going to get lucky or not. Obviously for me that would take me about 50 position trainers, but this guy already has centre forward right out of the box. Obviously his roaming flank playing style won't be active there, but you look down at the skills, he's got first time shot, acrobatic finishing, got a few skill moves there, soul control's a lovely one to have, through passing as well. He's a ready-made centre forward without an active playing style. Some people might not like that. I don't think it's a big issue personally. I've used players without an active playing style at centre forward and they've been fine for me. So yeah, if you've been wanting a good version of Rodrygo at centre forward, especially a trainable one, happy days for you. I've got a Champions League player of the week version. It's a centre forward. It's a super sub as well, and I've got to say I love him. He's one of my favourite super subs. Anytime I have him in my squad as a super sub, he comes off the bench and he's great. Really, really good card. So I expect this one would be similar, albeit he doesn't have super sub, but you could give him it if you want to. But yeah, as a striker, or in fact, we'll start as a wide forward. So as a wide forward, the pace, great on the ball, fantastic awareness for a wide man. Be careful with the passing, it's not great, but finishing 85 and those skills there. If you're going to use him as a wide man, I think as a right footer, you're going to put him on the left because he can't cross it. On the left, give him long range curler because he's got first time shot, finishing 85, all the technicals, the pace, the awareness. You give this guy long range curler, playing wide left could be really, really effective as a wide left forward. You can see from the rating it's giving you there, saying he's about 100 rated there. That's how good he is, obviously. It's only a rough guy, but it's an accurate one. So wide left could be very nice. And with that roaming front playing style, drifting into, making not just the vertical runs forward into the box, but horizontally drifting across the pitch. Kind of like when you play an R1 pass. He will do that a lot. I like that roaming front playing style. I am a fan. So yeah, wide left, I would recommend long range curler, but even if you don't give him that, but especially if you do, I think it could be very effective as a wide forward. But as I mentioned to start off with, as a centre forward, you could certainly use him there. If you do use him there, the one place he does need more points allocated is finishing. He's already got the awareness. We'll leave the dexterity where it is because 90 is where we want to be. Where are we going to get the points from? We could sacrifice a couple from dribbling. What else has he got? That's about it, really. We can nick a couple from speed. Don't really want to, but if we need the points, is that going to get us to 90? Boom, it does. Then we've got 2 left. Where are they going? Back on speed. Happy days. There you go. That's nice and simple. So Rodrygo's a centre forward with first time shot. Attacking where it's 90, finishing 90. Great on the ball for a striker. The passing is decent enough for a striker. Speed and acceleration both over 90. Balance is pretty good at 88. You get a very nice Rodrygo centre forward card here. I think he's got the skills. You can make him a super sub like mine is. Like I say, my super sub card with Rodrygo is just fantastic. But even without super sub, off the bench or starting the game, very nice. And if you've always wanted the trainable centre forward version of Rodrygo, here you go. It's a good version of him. I think we had 1 or 2 possibly higher rated ones, but it's one of the better versions of Rodrygo. It's a pretty high rated one. It's a very good card, this. So yeah, centre forward or out wide. This card looks like a very good one. Very nice. So now we have Julián Alvarez from Atletico Madrid. So deep line forward this time. We've had goal poacher versions of Alvarez. I think we've got 1 or 2 hole players as well. There was a hole player in Champions League that was like a really nice card. But back to a deep line forward now on this card. Let's jump over to the hub. How good is this card? It is pretty good. So it's up there with the higher rated versions of Alvarez that we've had. It's a good version of Alvarez. I think really it's like with Endrick. It's a question of that playing style, deep line forward. How do you train him? Where do you put the points? Because with the auto allocation, the passing for me is not quite as high as I'd want it to be. He does have one-touch passing, through passing, which is great on a deep line forward. Pinpoint crossing, not sure that's really going to come into the equation. But first-time shot, rising and dipping shots, long-range shooting, soul control. Up front, I think long-range curl is the only skill I would really look to put on him, to be honest. But yeah, as a centre forward or an SS playing as a deep line forward, you need more passing on him. So can we get that passing up? Where are we going to get the points? I think dexterity is the obvious one. We could take that down to 8 and we're still on 90 plus in all 3 of the dexterity attributes. We put that all on passing. Boom, 80 low pass, there we go. And I'll put the spare one on lower body because I want a bit more speed on him. That's the one thing with Alvarez, he's often not too quick. I've had a couple of player of the week versions that I've released because I just found the speed on he was a goal poacher and he just wasn't quite as quick as I wanted him to be. But on a trainable one, you can get that higher. I think as a deep line forward, it'd be nice if we get that finishing up to 90, but getting that low pass up to 80, still fairly tidy on the ball there. Could we free up the points to get his finish up to 90? Let's nick the aerial. He can live without the aerial. That's 89. What do we need? 2 more points. Whoa. Where are we getting 2 more points from? Should I nick the one back from lower body? Yes. There we go. Right. Deep line forward. So he's not got great speed. He's got a fantastic acceleration. Bounce of 95 is fantastic. Awareness and finishing both up to 90. Low pass up to 80. He's got the one-touch pass and through passing skills. And he's fairly tidy on the ball for centre forward. So for me, if you like the deep line forward playing style, I would train him like this. I think he could be very effective. Centre forward or SS, playing up there as a deep line forward. This kind of a build. Getting him on the ball. Awareness to finishing, the passing. I think it could be very, very effective. I wouldn't touch attacking midfield. I think you'd have to scrimp so many points to get his passing high enough to make him a good attacking midfielder. I'm not sure it'd be worth it. I mean, you could do, I guess. Let's just nick a few from shooting. Don't really want to nick anything there. Hang on. Or do I? We could take a few from dexterity. If we went that far down even, just down to 4, say. Yeah, you could make him an attacking mid, I guess. So you get the low pass up to 88. The finishing and attacking man is both still in the 80s. On the ball, reasonably tidy. I'd probably like an attacking mid to be a bit better and with the ball control and dribbling, to be honest. Pretty good pace, but certainly acceleration and the balance for an attacking mid. So yeah, you could do him as an attacking mid, but I think the previous build I just showed you there is a deep line forward, centre forward or SS. Like I say, it's one of the highest rated versions of Julián Alvarez that we've had. So if the playing style works for you, that kind of a build that I did just now, I think this could be a very, very good Alvarez card. Now we have our goalie. We've got Mamardashvili. Valencia, he's going to be joining Liverpool at the end of the season. So, defensive goalkeeper, tall guy, 6'5", is that? 6'6". He's a big guy. Let's jump onto the eFootball hub. So, we've had one previous feature version of Mamardashvili. That was a Player of the Week card. It wasn't as good as this one. This is the best version we've had of him, but that Player of the Week card wasn't far off, to be fair. It was also an attacking goalkeeper. This is a defensive goalkeeper. So those are the differences. Not quite as good statistically, but not too far off. And it was attacking, not defensive. But yeah, this guy is a pretty strong keeper, as you can see here. We've got the awareness at 90. Catching almost at 90. Parring's not brilliant. That's the one, I wouldn't say weakness necessarily, but it's not particularly great. 81 parrying, but reflexes 94 is tremendous. Reach of 90 on a guy as tall as this guy is great. So his coverage of his goal is going to be fantastic. Jumping 76 is fine on a guy as tall as him. Could we get that catching up to 90? Probably. Is it that one? It's that one. So we only need 2 points of aerial. Boom. Easy peasy. Yeah, that's a strong goalie. Unwavering form as well. Awareness, catching and reach all at 90. Reflex is 95 now. Parrying 81. Yeah, this guy's going to stop a lot of shots. This is a good goalie. So like I say, it's the best version of Mamardashvili we've had. And yeah, especially for the Spanish League challenge, you could have a fantastic option. But in general, this guy could certainly be a good keeper just in any mode, really. Depends what options you've got. If you've got some of the filthy legend goalkeeper cards, the likes of Czech, Michael, whoever else, then you might not need this guy. But if you do want more options in goal, this guy is very, very strong. Not a million miles away from the likes of Quartar, to be honest. The big, tall guy. Some really good attributes there. 4 of them over 90. So yeah, really good, strong goalkeeper card this. And it's the best version of Mamardashvili we've had so far. And we finish up with Pedri. So Pedri, who these days is an orchestrator. He has been most often a creative playmaker in the past, and it's been at least 1 or 2 whole player versions. I've got a Player of the Week whole player version. Very nice. Unwavering form. Very two-footed. And let's jump over to eFootball Hub. So yeah, as you can see, it's of course very nice. This is not the highest rated version of Pedri that we've had. We had one that went to, I think, 101. That was in a legend box. So slightly better than this one, but this isn't far off, and this is one of the better versions of Pedri that we've had. As I mentioned, orchestrated playing style, that will be active at centre midfield, but will not be active at any of his other positions, certainly the fully proficient ones. So he can play attacking mid, he can play down the left. Can he be good enough defensively to play as a centre mid? He could be. You could just go with this at this point allocation. For me personally, I like a centre mid. Certainly with an orchestrator, he's not going to be bombing forward too much. He's going to be loitering around in the middle of the park. Deep line playmaker. I like players like that to have more defensive ability. Certainly that tackling at 73 is not brilliant. So, in fact, the skills, should we just quickly check? Yeah, as I suspected, no interception as well. So I'd put interception on him. If I'm going to use this guy as a centre mid, I'll put interception on him. I wouldn't, but we'll come to left midfield and attacking mid in a moment. We'll start as a centre mid build, and just what I would personally do. We can spare a bunch of points of passing. I don't think you need that pass about 90 on low pass. I think a couple of dribbling. Can we get attacking up to 80? Yes. We've got 4 left. A bit more physical contact probably makes sense. Would that do it? Probably. I'd like a bit more physical contact, but something like that for me. If you're going to play as a centre midfielder with the orchestrator playing style, got loads of great offensive skills down here, certainly with the passing. Stick interception on him. I would train him something like this, and you could have a really, really nice, technically brilliant orchestrator, deep line playmaker type of player. If you did want to move him further up the pitch, though, attacking mid, take all those points back off defending. Thank you very much. I mean, we'll go back to water allocation, to be honest. You don't need to do much different to that. I would personally just like to get the attacking awareness up to the 80 mark if possible. To be honest, a bit more kicking power would be nice. So if we nicked a bunch of those points back off passing again and nicked a couple of dribbling, that's the balance there. So the attacking awareness goes up to 80. We've got 13 left. So can we get his kicking power to 80? Yes. 1 point left. And we can get his finishing to 70 as well. Bargain. Oh, and there's still 4 on defending. They're spoiling me. Where do we put those 4 points? Couple on shooting. 1 on passing. Boom. Yeah, as an attacking midfielder, I think that's what I'd do. He looks pretty similar, this build, to the Player of the Week whole player that I've got, I think, just off the top of my head. And that has been a really lovely card for me. I really like it. I've used that mainly as a left midfielder, to be honest. He's very nice, lovely on the ball. Got a little bit of pace about him, got great balance. And he's got a really nice pass on him as well. So, yeah, as an attacking mid, maybe you could put a bit more finishing on him, but with the passing and on-the-ball ability of this guy, and he feels really fluid as well on the ball. Attacking when it's getting up to 80, I think very nice. As a left midfielder, I don't think I'd do much different, actually, I think, to be honest. I mean, he could nick a bit off passing, because it's not quite as important out wide, but you've only got 6 points used in his passing, so to be honest, I'm going to leave that as a left midfielder. Lovely on the ball, great passing. I'd probably just go with that, to be honest, something similar to that. So, yeah, it's not the absolute best version of Pedri we've had, but it's a very nice one. It's one of the better ones. Orchestrated playing style will not be active wide left or attacking mid. Just keep that in mind. But for me personally, not an issue. It doesn't bother me. I think it would still be very lovely in those positions. So, yeah, if you've not got a good version of Pedri, this is a really nice one. And if you do have a version of Pedri already, this might be a better one. It depends which version you got. But this is certainly one of the better ones. So, yeah, a really nice card, that. So there's your new Spanish League selection. I think it's a decent one, to be fair. I think there's some decent cards in there. Certainly some very usable ones. Becker, for me, I think if you use him as a wide left forward especially, he could be useful. Navas, right back or right wing. I think certainly right back you need a skill or two on him, but he could be a useful one. Albiol, solid centre back. Not amazing, but certainly pretty solid. Reinildo, not that many good defensive fullbacks around. So if you like defensive fullbacks, could be a pretty good one at left back. But if you turn him into a sneaky centre-back and give him aerial superiority, he could be a very nice kind of quick, nimble centre-back as well. Romeu, not amazing, could be pretty solid though as a defensive mid, but I think a lot of us have better options. Sancet, big, tall guy. He's not going to be the most nimble or manoeuvrable, but if you don't mind that, he's got some technical ability. So he can certainly pass and shoot, so for some people could be very, very, very useful card. Endrick, I don't think he suits the deep line forward playing style, but if you're an Endrick fan, a Real Madrid fan, or if you think you can get the most out of him with that deep line forward playing style, then it's by no means a bad card. It could be a good card for some people. Rodrygo, trainable centre forward version. I'm pretty sure it's the first time we've had that. But you can, of course, position train the previous ones. But if you do want a good version of Rodrygo that you can play as a centre forward, this could be the card for you. It looks great, and wide left as well with the roaming flank playing style. I think it's a very good card. One of the better versions of Julián Alvarez that we've had. Again, is deep line forward, but depending how you train him, I think you can train him in a way that makes him perfectly suited to that playing style. Could be a very nice card. Then you've got an absolute brick wall of a goalkeeper. He's massive. Looks really good, Mamardashvili, as a goalkeeper. And then you've got yet another Pedri card, but it's a good one. Pedri's always good, so it's a really nice card. It's one of the highest rated ones we've had. So there are some pretty nice cards in there. For some people, it could be a pack worth spinning. For others, maybe not. But yeah, there you go. Hopefully you found that useful. Hopefully that's helped you to decide if it's worth spinning. As I mentioned at the start, I'll be doing the English and Italian League packs as well. I'll try and get them both done over the weekend. So keep your eyes out for those. Cheers for watching. As always, I'll be seeing you soon. Have a good weekend. See you next time.